And welcome, everyone. It is the 5 Sports Show. We're here on a Monday night. Zach Anderson joining me, Atticus, Pead here with you. Zach, we're now 2 days removed from WVU's first win over Robert Morris, 45-3. You've had 2 days to digest, so in we go. And how are you feeling the next week after?
You know, over the weekend I thought about the game and what I took away from it. And of course the fumbles were the storyline that everybody talked about. But you can't ignore the domination, especially in the second half. I mean, Coach Rodriguez talked about it in his post-game press conference. The second half is what they wanted to be, albeit they were generic and vanilla in terms of the play calling. Is what those were his words. They did what they needed to do, and that's the bottom line. They needed to get that done. So I was impressed with that performance. Of course, it is an FCS opponent, and we've been talking about now, you know, moving on to Ohio and how that's going to be a step up from an FCS opponent in Robert Morris. So that's going to be the first test, I feel like, and especially being the first road game of the year too, Atticus.
First road game of the year, and West Virginia has struggled in their road games. They've lost 6 straight on the road to start seasons off, so not a thrilling stat. We'll see what they can do week 2 here as we get into Ohio. Now, one of the things we want to do with this show, we want to hear from you first and foremost. We want you to be a part of this as well. So send us your comments. What are you thinking? What are you thinking about WVU, our opinions, your opinions? What do you have to say to us? You can email us, sports@wdtv.com, or comment on any of our social media pages. Our show is on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and beyond. So we've got a few comments we want to go through here to start the show off, Zach. One of our
new thing we're trying here. This should be exciting.
Hey, we love to hear from you guys. This is the highlight of the show for us. So
this is awesome.
On YouTube, one of the comments is from Drumwolf62, I wouldn't mention the 5 fumbles unless it cost WVU the game. Yes, those things need to be corrected. Why do West Virginia people always focus on the negative things when WVU won? Zach, what say you?
Wow, that's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, they have a good point. We mentioned the fumbles because it didn't cost them the game, but we still mention it because it's mistakes. And Rich Rodriguez, of course, he focused on it as well. But the thing I take away from that comment is the part at the end where they say West Virginia fans always find the negative, because I grew up in West Virginia my entire life, and you know, watching the Mountaineers my entire life as well. It's easy whenever success isn't there to find the negatives, and that's how it was under Neil Brown. You know, middle success with Dana Holgerson as head coach back in the day, and then all the way back, of course, to Rich Rodriguez's first tenure. What happened in 2007 sticks in fans' minds, and that's just the truth of the matter. So when you look overall at the success of the program scene, they're one of the most winningest programs that hasn't won a national championship. I'm not sure if you knew that. Like, I think it's top 15 in terms of wins in the nation without a national championship. So fans look at the negative because that's what they remember. Rather than the wins against Robert Morris, they remember the loss against Pitt in 2007. They remember the loss against Pitt in 2024. Those are what stick out to people. So to answer that part of your comment, I think that's the reason why that negative is there.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Growing up as a BYU fan in Provo, Utah, I'll tell you what, from last season, BYU could have made the college football playoff, would have been the first time really nationally relevant on that stage. And I remember that Kansas game. When I think back to last year, 11 great wins, beating Colorado, so many cool things. All I remember is that Kansas game when BYU was ready to receive a punt, going to go down the field, win the game, and the punt clanked off our returner's helmet, and Kansas scored a touchdown, and that was that. It was awful weather. Couldn't score from there. There you go, game over. And that was really your playoff hopes gone as well. That's what I remember from last year, even though it was great, even though it was a great year. And I say the same thing for WVU fans. What do you remember from Neil Brown? What do you remember from his era? A lot of fumbles, a lot of mistakes, a lot of dumb losses, Houston Hail Mary, a lot of bad things. So that's not to say, of course, that these things are the defining moment for the team. It's not. The fumbles did not define this game. They don't define the players. But, you know, some tough things. See if you can correct them in week 2. And these things will matter a lot more as we go forward because, like we've talked about, and like you know at home, Robert Morris, that was a nothing burger.
You can afford to have mistakes against them as well.
And you can probably afford some against Ohio, but not many. And as you get forward from there, once Ohio is gone, you can afford basically none, except for maybe 1 or 2 teams left on your schedule. So there's a lot left. We'll see what happens. Those mistakes, though, a bit concerning as we head out of week 1. And another comment that we liked and wanted to mention here. Remember, guys, this was the first game of all these guys played together. This wasn't a complete team returning from a season to go. And the response to that, remember, this was Robert Morris, the cream puff to end all cream puffs.
Oh, my goodness.
And no team's going to fully return the previous season from the previous year from here on out. This is the NIL era. Every season's going to be a rebuild. That, I think, is, Zach, the biggest thing we want to talk about as we get into week 2 here. The Rich Rodriguez era is back. We all know it's back. We can all see the team identity. We can all see the team style. It's awesome. It's a lot more fun than Neil Brown's era. Great.
That's certainly true.
But as we get to Ohio, I should say, now comes the real difficult part. Now comes the chance that we have to see how much can the team put it together as we get into week 2, because it's not simple. Rich Rodriguez has not been here for 14 years. He's putting the system in for every single person now. Can you quickly put that system together against a team that is far better than Robert Morris and can really hurt you offensively?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see it at 7 o'clock on Saturday after the game is over to see if Rich Rodriguez really took the criticism, took the mistakes that the team had, and corrected them in practice throughout the week. You're going to see that immediately. And it's going to be interesting to see as well how the team responds. Because, it's like you said, it's a brand new roster. We talked about in our first episode of this show how there's 79 or 80 new players on the roster. I mean, obviously they gelled pretty well in the second half. Maybe the first half they were getting used to each other. I mean, you can't say fumbles are something about teammates, but fumbles are, of course, an individual thing. But it's interesting to see how they're going to fit together going into the Ohio game, because so much is going to change in that game. You're going into a hostile environment. You're playing a defending MAC champion, albeit Group of 5 school, but still a defending conference champion. Yep. So it's not going to be a gimme like Robert Morris was.
Defending conference champion who returns their quarterback, no less, and is a new coach, but an experienced and talented coach. Now, before we get there, we want to talk the quarterback battle for WVU, of course. We all saw Nico Marchiol coming out on top of this quarterback competition as he was the starter for this game and really led the way. Plenty of good, though, I think, from around the area. Jalen Henderson, missed a few passes, but had some good spots in the running game. And, of course, Scotty Fox, the freshman coming in.
Had that big play.
I mean, that big run, that was really the big play of the game, right? The big wow moment for the fans who stayed late. Pretty impressive stuff, no?
I certainly was wowed by that play by Scotty Fox. I mean, first of all, I didn't expect him to see so much time. I mean, I know he is a second-year player. He stayed here under Rich Rodriguez. He was recruited by Neil Brown. Right. But he stayed here. He's a sophomore now. I did not expect him to see so much time in this game. He got that one drive, ran for the touchdown, and Rich Rodriguez has seen enough. He was impressed, and I was certainly impressed by that run. You didn't know that you were going to see that from him. And, of course, going back to the quarterback one battle, though, Nico Marchiol, I think we all said it in the first couple episodes of the show. We expected him to be the starter going into week 1. But like I said in the first episode, I'm going to go back to saying that Rich Rodriguez didn't owe him the starting job coming in. Certainly didn't owe it to him. Nico had to earn it. And I think you saw it on the field, Atticus, by how Nico played. He certainly earned the job.
Certainly earned the job, and I'm not sure that at this point it needs to be completely considered done, and not in a slight against Nico Marchiol. Yeah. Obviously, he played really well.
He did.
I think going forward, though, it will come down to who makes the best decisions. Because if those fumbles especially continue to be a problem throughout the year, what it's going to come down to is who can protect the ball. We all hear the game manager term, right? You never want the game manager as the quarterback. You want the most athletic and explosive guy. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of explosive players on this WVU roster.
Yeah,
I'm not sure you need someone, I'm not sure you need someone who can throw for 400 yards a game or run for 200. It really is about who makes the best decisions, who can find the open guy on the right play, and who can get the ball to Jaheim White and Cam Vaughn when they need it the most without throwing a pick. So Marchiol obviously seems like the best for that right now. In the future, if it becomes Scotty Fox at some point, if Henderson needs to come in, if Marchiol makes a few mistakes, of course, I'm not sure that becomes necessary. Again, your number one quarterback is what you want. You know the old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. You probably want just the one guy. But I think all of them showed a lot of promise, not just Marchiol.
That's true, and I think you saw, albeit against Robert Morris, a lesser opponent, you saw the decision-making there from Nico Marchiol. He made the quick, decisive passes, and he made the reads to run the ball, to keep the ball, to take off and scramble as well. You saw that from him. The decision-making was there, and you like that from your leader, from your starting quarterback. So he shows all the intangibles right now of being the QB1. It's up to him to keep it, like you said, throughout the season.
It really will be, and it's important, too. One of the things Zach mentioned last week that kept me thinking about over the weekend, it's important not to overreact to just Robert Morris. And that can be good and bad. I think good in the sense that, there's plenty left to learn this week, of course, but good in the sense that maybe the team isn't fully settled yet. You'll get to find out more this week, and that's what we're looking forward to, an actual game for West Virginia. Because as we've all seen over the past couple seasons, it's been a lot of fun to open up with Penn State. It's been a lot of fun to open up with Pittsburgh and Maryland and so on. The reality is you lose most of those games at WVU, at least, or under the Neil Brown era. So it's nice to get a nice 1-0 start. First time for that since 2020. Now can you turn it into 2-0? That's all you got to worry about this week. So as we turn our attention to Ohio, Zach, Ohio is a team who started 0-1, and they're now looking to turn that into a 1-1 record as they get their home season underway, their home opener here against West Virginia. Not going to be easy because Ohio has some real talent.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. Like you said, they're returning their quarterback, an experienced coach as well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Were they on the road against Rutgers last week?
They played Rutgers on the road last week.
Okay, I thought they were on the road there. Yep. So they played Rutgers tough on the road.
They did.
Going on the road to play a Big Ten school, they played that game tough, only lost by 3 points. This is certainly going to be a tough game for West Virginia to see how they gel. Going in, I mean, like I said earlier, hostile environment, bringing back a quarterback, and something I noticed specifically is that Ohio normally likes to pass the ball quite a bit. They passed it 31 times against Rutgers, and they're known for that. They have a guy in the NFL named Curtis Rourke, former quarterback for Ohio, and they always have passed the ball. That's been their philosophy, even under the new head coach here. And you saw at some points in the Robert Morris game, I'm not going to say that Robert Morris moved the ball in the air, but you certainly saw that there were points where the secondary became a little bit vulnerable, Atticus, and you saw them give up a couple of big gains, especially I remember a 25-yard pass. It was down the left sideline in the Robert Morris game. That play just stuck out to me because it's like, that was a pretty wide open ball.
Right.
And it ended up getting Robert Morris into the red zone. Of course, that was when they kicked their only points of the game, that field goal they got.
Right.
So going into this Ohio game, though, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the secondary performs against a pass attack offense.
It really will be. And, of course, as you see on screen here, if you're watching us on video, West Virginia, this is the first time they've traveled to Ohio since 1949.
Wow.
Plenty of long time here. So we'll see if the Mountaineers, obviously, look, it's Ohio. It's a 27,000-seat stadium. This is not like what you're going to see in the Big 12. This is not going to be your BYU trip. It's not going to be your Houston trip. It's not going to be a lot of those big ones like that. But this one does have a lot of significance locally. And if you look at Ohio's tickets from beyond this week, for this week and beyond, I should say, it's about $110, $120 if you want to get tickets to this game. And if you want to go to Ohio's game the following week after that, it's like $6. So
wow.
Clearly there's a lot of excitement here. Ohio fans
clearly
are ready to go. They've sold out of tickets about a couple weeks back. So for West Virginia, it's not going to be that difficult in terms of the crazy crowd, if you will. But the people they're playing will be. Parker Navarro, quarterback for Ohio. If you guys watched that Rutgers game, many of you may not have, stuck on the Big Ten network, kind of the middle of nowhere on a Friday night.
Big Ten
I watched that game. Ohio should have won it. They had that game. They really had the opportunity to go win it. They just made some mistakes, and they couldn't convert when they needed to, and they still converted 50% of their third downs. They had plenty of good there. They just couldn't finish it off against Rutgers. So that really means as they come back here for week one, you're going to be smarting after a loss. The coaches and players said after the game in their post-game press conferences, we should have won that game. We knew it. Now you come back home with a really winnable opportunity here. Because West Virginia, a good team, of course, big team, Power 4 team, haven't established themselves yet at the top level. Ohio may smell an opportunity here.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio may smell blood in the water, to go off what you're saying there, because they're at home. They have everything pointing their way as well. I mean, West Virginia, new team, we already talked about that, coming into this environment. And on your point about the fans, there is only less than 30,000 seats in the stadium, but there should be a good amount of West Virginia fans there. I mean, Wood County and Tyler County and Pleasant County, all those West Virginia counties there by the Ohio River are only within 45 minutes to an hour's drive from this stadium. And I have multiple friends from Parkersburg, my hometown, who are going to this game to root on the Mountaineers. So there's certainly going to be some benefit there for West Virginia, but they're still coming in to an opportunity for Ohio to get the job done. And I think that's what Ohio is going to be looking for, is take advantage of where West Virginia has not quite clicked yet.
And that's one of the big things here for Ohio, one of the big advantages they have. It's a senior quarterback, graduate quarterback, Parker Navarro, who can really sling the ball. 66% completion percentage. He ran for over 1,000 yards last season, just last week. 3 touchdowns, no picks, over 300 yards, nearly 100 yards rushing the ball. I mean, there's a lot that Ohio can do offensively, and that's going to be the real test for West Virginia here. You heard Zach mention it earlier. Robert Morris had a couple of plays where they started to show something in the passing game. As you all remember from last season, West Virginia's pass defense, atrocious.
So some of the worst in the nation.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
Fixing a D-line is pretty simple. It's big guys, go make them hit, go make them get sacks. It's obviously more difficult than that, but it's an easier thing to fix than your secondary. So this will be a test for West Virginia's secondary, not just to see the talent level, of course, but can they put the scheme together to figure out how to stop a guy who really knows how to dissect really strong teams? Parker Navarro's done that for years at Ohio.
And the secondary, like we talked about this entire show, all new guys. There's all new guys across this roster. You see lots of new guys in the secondary as well for West Virginia. And Parker Navarro, as we talked about, not just passing the ball. You mentioned he ran for over 100 yards. Is that what you said, I believe?
Near 100 yards, 93.
Okay, yeah, 93 yards is still an impressive running performance from a quarterback. I mean, we talked about Nico, how he ran the ball against Robert Morris, he had 56 yards. So 93 yards for Parker Navarro against Rutgers. That's a great performance for that guy, and he's certainly going to be a dual threat that West Virginia is going to have to watch out for every play. We've seen dual threats come to Morgantown. It comes to my mind Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. They've come to Morgantown and ran all over the West Virginia defenses. Now, past coaches, past defensive coordinators there, of course. But still, that's a vulnerability that West Virginia needs to make sure that they bear down on and don't allow him to, run and pass.
It is. And speaking of fun little coaching things or fun little moments like that from the past, Ohio was actually going to play Jacksonville State in last year's bowl game, and they did, and Ohio won. Now, of course, Rich Rodriguez left. He didn't coach Jacksonville State in that game, coming over here to West Virginia. So Brian Smith, the new head coach for Ohio, this is that chance to get that game he was supposed to have against Rich Rodriguez last year.
I'm sure he's itching.
This will be fun.
I'm sure he's itching to get a second chance at Rich Rodriguez. Really, just obviously it's a whole different environment now. 2 new schools for both of them, but the stakes have gone up. They're both at better schools, arguably. I mean, so the stakes have gone up here for both of them. I'm sure he's itching to get a win.
And Ohio has won 3 straight home openers. West Virginia, of course, as I mentioned at the start here, they've lost 6 straight road openers over the past 6 years. So a bit of we'll see, not necessarily a rock and hard place here. I think we all have faith that WVU can overcome in this one.
You expect WVU to win.
You would, but West Virginia is not favored by a lot of points depending on where you look. And I think most of us all feel pretty strongly that West Virginia can win this game. They should be favored to win this game. They should have a good shot to win this game, but it's going to take some work. This will not be an easy one to win. And, of course, we've been talking about that all throughout the show so far. Yeah. This isn't going to be an easy, quick turnaround for WVU. You're not contending for the Big 12 this season. You're trying to make a bowl game. Let's see where you go from there.
Yeah.
But that really starts here, Zach, because if you go 1-1, now you've got Pitt coming to town. And if you're 1-2 after that, you are on a bad foot as you go into 5 away games in your 9 Big 12 conference games. So this game matters a lot.
This game does matter a lot to get that momentum going. Of course, you don't want to start off on a bad foot with Rich Rodriguez and how his previous tenure went. He wants to get on the fans' good side, for lack of a better term. He wants to start off the season well and get strong in this Ohio game. So there's going to be a lot of pressure in that sense to start the season off on the right foot, because you don't want to go on the road after the Pitt game, of course. You don't want to go on the road and start playing Big 12 opponents, because those games can turn into anything. You never know what the Big 12 games can be. And being a BYU fan, you've watched them, I'm sure, and playing the Big 12 recently. So those games can be almost anything.
They really can be. So for West Virginia, we'll see what they do. That game is Saturday night, 4 p.m., Saturday late afternoon, I should say, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. West Virginia favored by a couple of points. We're excited to see what they can do. 2.5 roughly. That line's gone down a bit depending on where you look over the past 24 hours. Zach, you're going to be there with Cam Murray. You ever been to Athens before?
I have been to Athens. I actually I went to college at WVU, but I did tour Athens and Ohio University for my college, my college suitors, I guess you could say. So I went there, and it's a beautiful campus. It really is. Their stadium is very nice, obviously small and a more intimate environment, but certainly a dedicated fan base out there in Athens.
Well, maybe the spurned lover for Zach then, in his college search. We'll see if Ohio can spoil the party this Saturday for West Virginia. And we'll see how many West Virginia fans show up, of course.
I'll be interested to see, because, like I told you earlier in the show, Atticus, it's so close to the border there. I'd be interested to see what the ratio of Ohio to West Virginia fans are.
And I bring that up because we've had a lot of people, a lot of my neighbors and friends have told me they're looking for tickets. There just aren't many out there. So I'm curious to see how many Ohio fans are guarding those tickets or how many are cashing in on the resale value. Not that I blame them.
Probably a little bit of both.
I've done the same thing back in the day.
Yeah,
that's life. So I'm curious to see. We'll find out this Saturday, and we'll have more for you on Saturday night about this WVU game, win or lose. We're excited to see what the Mountaineers can do.
Yes.
Now, before we go tonight, we want to turn our attention to our high school football teams. Week 1 of the high school football season is now over. Zach, let's get a look at the scores, the final recap of the scores that we had from this past weekend. Plenty of good games on the schedule here. Some of the big ones early. You see 23 points in the wins there for South Harrison and Philip Barber. Zach, I was hoping Grafton could have more to show against the Colts there. That tough rivalry game. But Philip Barber, great job blanking them Friday night. Yeah,
Philip Barber, took advantage on the road, went up 23-0, and took care of that game. I look at the Braxton County South Harrison game as a very interesting matchup, how that one turned out. South Harrison only wins by 8 points there, Atticus. Braxton County only won 1 game last season. Same head coach. That Braxton County team, has clearly grown. to have a close game here against South Harrison.
If you watched our fifth quarter shows last season, pretty much every Braxton County game was a big loss. So this is, like you said, a really big step. Not a win, of course, but that's a big step.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Now, Buchanan Upshur, the big loss to Bridgeport. I think we all expected that. No disrespect to Buchanan Upshur. I think a very good team there still. We're excited actually to go for our game of the week this week.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Hosting Philip Barber. But of course, Bridgeport, the state champions, nobody stopped them in over a year now. That wasn't going to happen this game either. Just a tough matchup to start your season off.
Yeah,
now,
it really
Tyler
is.
Consolidated beating Ritchie County, a very interesting one. Ritchie County, senior quarterback, a lot of depth on that team. Bit of a surprise, big loss there to Tyler.
Yeah, I was also surprised. I went to one of their practices in the summer for Ritchie County, and I was surprised there. There's lots of expectations. Like you already mentioned, they're returning their head coach once again. They're returning a senior quarterback. Lots of depth up front on both sides of the line. And Tyler goes in there and gets a win. That's an impressive performance by Tyler.
Big win for Tyler there. Another impressive win, Elkins. Elkins, wow. 54 points early. That team's going to run all over you. That became very clear. And North Marion taking care of business against East Fairmont. North Marion really controlled the line of scrimmage there. Just never let East Fairmont into the game. You see the highlights. We had some highlight plays that we showed of North Marion's defense in the red zone knocking passes away. That's going to be a tenacious team this year, Zach.
Oh, yeah, certainly North Marion will always be tenacious, always a contender. But looking back at that Elkins game, I was there for that one, Elkins-Lincoln, and saying they're going to run the ball is an understatement. They ran the guts out of the ball, Atticus. I mean, they run the double wing offense, and they put guys in misdirection and motion, and it's really a tough offense to stop. They just grind out play after play, and they kept converting in short yardage on touchdowns, and they just took off. I mean, the Elkins offense looks really impressive to start the year.
Elkins play Bridgeport this year? I think they do, right?
I think they do. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one.
That's the game I want to see. Elkins may have an offense that can actually stick with them with the amount of running they can do.
If you want to see the least amount of passing attempts in a high school football game, that's the game you want to attend, it seems
You'll
like.
get maybe a punter rollout, a 4th and 15 bootleg, if you will, for a pass. And that might be the only one of the game.
True, yeah,
Should
maybe.
be a lot of fun when that one happens.
Yeah,
now take a look at our second page of scores here. Valley and Tigers Valley, huge win for Tigers Valley out there. 54-13.
Big one
what
for
a game
them.
there for Tigers Valley. After the consolidation talk over this with Randolph County Schools over the summer, been a bit of a difficult time just in terms of looking at the future there. So Tigers Valley, that is a really, really big win for them.
Yeah, really impressive win for them. I mean, 54 points in the opening game of the season. That's a first-year head coach. They are returning a quarterback and a couple of skill players on that offense, but another first-year head coach for Valley as well, winning by almost 40 points in that game. That's just impressive for that offense. I did not see that whenever I went this summer. They really must have came a long way, and the practice is paying off.
Really has. And Doddridge County, that's another big win for them on the road to Liberty Raleigh. Nice 1-0 start for them, 35-point victory. Yes. Gilmer County, a huge win at home as well, playing in Glenville, beating Calhoun County by 26 points. Calhoun may not be the toughest team that the Gilmer is going to face, of course, but hey, you can't go wrong with starting your season 1-0 with 46 points at home. No complaints there.
Yeah, you can't be wrong also with Tyler Ratliff. I mean, what a performance by that kid. He had 282 yards and 4 touchdowns, I believe I saw on social media, Atticus. So
wow.
Just what a game for that kid. 46 points as well, really leading that offense in their first win of the season.
282. We hope you're going to see more of that throughout the year.
Yeah, I hope so.
Preston, a tough loss on the road to Hampshire, lost by 20 points there. They'll be hoping for a turnaround this week. Clay Battelle losing by 6 points. That is no bad result. That's, again, it's not a win, but that's an impressive result. Only losing by 6 to the Dragons. Cameron is a tough team, holding them to 22. There are no moral points in football, of course, but that one helps. And Tucker County, I think we all expected the big win, 40-7 over Pocahontas County, Zach.
Yeah, that Cameron game, before we go to the next set of scores here, that Cameron game, 22-16, I mean, that's the single A defending runner-up in that division. So seeing them, Clay Battelle, I'm talking about, play so close in that game is really impressive start for them.
So we'll see what they can do as they come back home this week, like you mentioned earlier. Webster County, they played against Richwood, a 20-point victory for them. Great start for the Highlanders this season, and a great start as well for University, 40-21 over Musselman. 2 nice home wins for our North Central teams here.
Yeah, Webster County and Richwood, that's of course a big rivalry, the battle for the Wagon Wheel Trophy there in Webster County, and the Highlanders get the win, big one. They actually scored on their very first play of scrimmage I saw online, a 70-yard touchdown. Impressive performance from that offense. And then talking about University, they capped off their win with a pick 6. So you're seeing both sides of the balls for both of those teams making plays and getting wins.
Plenty of good teams in North Central West Virginia, plenty of good wins in this week 1.
Yes.
Now, week 2, we've got some big action coming up this week. We won't talk too much about that tonight. Our Wednesday show will preview your week 2 games and what's to come. Zach, though, what team impressed you the most out of week 1 from North Central West Virginia?
That's a tough pick. A lot of teams had some great performances. I mean, of course, Bridgeport, they start off strong, 62 points in their win over Buchanan Upshur. I have to pick Elkins just because we haven't seen them be that dominant in a game in many, many years. I mean, in the early 2020s, they were averaging 1 or no wins a season, Atticus. Yep. And now they win 5 games last year. They have another good performance in their first game of the year. It looks like they're starting to trend up. That's the team I'd pick that impressed me the most.
Elkins has made a really big jump over the past couple of years, getting to where they are now. That's a really impressive one. And 2 teams, I think, for me that stand out that we didn't have on those scores there because they played Thursday. Lewis County, Robert C. Byrd. Robert C. Byrd with a big win at home there, and Parkersburg, Morgantown. Morgantown taking care of business against the Big Reds.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams really stood out to me. Morgantown's got a great home field advantage. That's one of the best fields in the state.
Certainly.
Bar none. It's like a college campus there. Really.
Yeah.
It is so fun to visit. Morgantown,
that's a cool stadium.
It really is. And that's a big win for them, starting things off on the right foot. And Robert C. Byrd really punched Lewis County in the mouth and took care of business there. Lewis County they showed a lot. That is not meant as a disrespect to Lewis County. The Minutemen showed a lot of good in that game. They kept coming back against Robert C. Byrd, kept that game close early and near into the halftime break. But Robert C. Byrd just kept things rolling, just kept running that ball, and they took things over late. That was really impressive. That's a game that they really haven't won over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, they haven't, and that game means a lot to Robert C. Byrd. And, of course, coming back home next week, I believe they're at home. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they're at home next week, so getting to come back home, they'll get a chance to get another win at Atticus on their belt. I mean, that's a team, like I talked about Elkins, that's another team that's trending up, something that we haven't seen from Robert C. Byrd in quite some time.
Really haven't. Well, thank you all for joining us here tonight. We're going to have more on our 5 sports show about high school football. Again, we'll preview week 2 on Wednesday night, and we'll talk more about WVU as we head into Ohio's game with Coach Rodriguez, assistant coaches and players talking tomorrow on Tuesday. We'll bring you more from that on Wednesday night as well. For now, though, that's all from us. Make sure to leave us a comment. Tell us what you're thinking.
Please
Social media pages. Send us an email, sports@wdtv.com. We want to hear from you. If you got your own opinions, what do you want us to know? Love us, hate us, whatever you want to say, we're here for it. We're so excited to hear from you.
And we're keeping an eye on the comments.
We love
your comments. If you comment, we're keeping an eye on them. So.
They are the best part of this show, so please keep them coming. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We hope you have a great Monday, great Labor Day night, and we'll see you on Wednesday night on the 5 Sports Show.